Excited about where this team's trending right now. I think we saw Friday night. The first time that this team found a way to, find spurts of playing at a high level in all three phases, all within one game, and that's something that we're gonna have to continue to do to compete in this league, and find the outcomes that we're looking for here in the second half of the season. Excited to have our last home game on the lakefront against a really good Wisconsin team that's playing really well right now. Their two losses, obviously to a very talented Alabama team, had USC on the ropes early on the road, and these last two games have certainly caught their stride. I think in the last two games they've outscored their opponents something like 94-13. They're certainly a group that have found their groove, well coached, scary passing attack. They're finding ways to run the ball really effectively right now, playing good defense, very sound on special teams. Our group understands that we got a great challenge in front of us, but we're excited for that challenge and excited to be at home, excited for what the environment's going to look like, and excited to get back at it this afternoon and move into our Wisconsin prep.
Coach, last game saw quite a few Jack Loush deep balls to either Bryce Kurtz or A.J. Henning. What did it mean to you and the coaching staff that deep passing game was finally clicking for the first time this year?
Yeah, it's the exciting part about it is those are things that we've been seeing out of Jack these last couple weeks in practice, and to see that show up a few times, in game, you can just tell there's a level of continuity, timing, and trust with those guys right now, and it's something that I know all of us are excited for Jack and that wide receiving group to continue to build off of.
Coach, just following up on that, when you're able to open up that deep passing game and force safeties to play in the too high shell, how does that open up the running game and allow Cam and Joe to kind of have a lighter box to work with? Yeah, no, it's critical.
Again, we talk about complementary football, but there's also complementary offense. When you have a balanced attack and strive for a balanced attack, effectively running the football can open up things in the RPO, play action, drop back pass game, and on the reverse side of that, when you prove that you can find ways to push the ball down the field effectively, that should certainly lead for opportunities to show up in the run game. And I'm excited for that to continue to trend in the right direction. For us to be at our best, we're going to have to continue to be a balanced attack that keeps play callers on their heels in terms of how we're trying to attack a defense.
Coach, Theron had another 3 pass breakups Friday night. How have you seen him set a model and step up for your relatively young cornerback room to follow this season?
Yeah, just very competitive and very confident right now. Consistent in his practice habits, and it's showing up on game day. But, I mean, the level of confidence that he's playing with right now, the amount of poise that he's playing with, he makes a big 4th down stop where the wide receiver, kind of bobbles the ball. He's able to get his hands in between his and knock the ball out, which is a huge play. Had one against Indiana. You can just tell, even when he is getting targeted, he's able to get himself back in phase and play with a lot of poise and compete for the football at the end. His level of play continues to trend in the right direction, and I think he's setting an example for the other guys in the room of just what it looks like to consistently compete and challenge routes, and that's something that we're in need, going to continue to need out of him here moving forward.
Coach, Wisconsin's your home state. You were extended, or the interim tag was dropped after you won there last season. Does this matchup carry extra weight for you?
I don't think it carries any extra weight. But you've heard me speak before about my roots in Big Ten country. Being born here in Illinois, vividly remember watching the Cats beat Notre Dame. Vividly remember the following year being at Camp Randall when the Cats beat Wisconsin. With that Dwayne Bates touchdown, and I think it's honestly, Matt, I think it's one of those things that there's still some moments that I'm trying to be really intentional about. Even pregame Maryland, pregame, having an opportunity to be a part of Big Ten football is something that is really special to me and my family. And I think this is just another one of those games, an opportunity to be the head coach at Northwestern, playing Big Ten football, coaching in Big Ten football. I mean, this is something I've been dreaming about since I was a little kid.
Coach, you mentioned the Wisconsin offense starting to find their groove. What specifically in their offense have you seen during your preparation so far?
Yeah, I think the quarterback play, continues to trend in the right direction for him. Came in against Alabama. That's a tough situation to be thrust into, but you can tell that he continues to play with more and more confidence. The O-line play is something that has certainly stood out and been impressive. The backs are running hard, running well. They're creating some explosive opportunities in the run game. And anytime you pair that with a passing attack that has the ability to be extremely explosive, it can be a really tough outfit to defend. And I mean, it shows. I mean, the production that they've shown on the offense side of the ball against Purdue and now, against a really they went on the road against Rutgers, traditionally known for really stingy defense, well-coached team. Wisconsin will always have our attention, but these last two games, you can tell they're definitely a confident group and trending in the right direction.
Coach, do you have an update on Jack Olson?
As of right now, we do not expect Jack to play this week. It looked like it was going to be anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks. We'll continue to monitor that, but do not expect Jack to play this week.
Coach, last week you talked about how you had studied the RPO a lot and need to get back in that defensive room and really work through it. What was that kind of lesson for you now being a head coach and not being in that defensive room, reminding yourself that, hey, this is what I did for all those years and I can be that valuable asset that can really help this team defensively and offensively win football games? Yeah,
it's just it's navigating in a different phase and learning through it. Calling the defense last year required a different level of time put into specifically just getting prepared to call a game. And it's just managing my time appropriately. But the thing that, I appreciate about Tim, Zach, and Paul is, our conversations are ongoing throughout the week. And, it wasn't like I wasn't in that defensive room in the prep, leading into Indiana. I think all of us identified that, we got an issue here. We got to fix it. Let's put our heads together and let's go do that. And, those conversations are ongoing, throughout all three phases. I think the one thing that we understand is, as much as it was exciting to get back on track against Maryland, we need to continue to have a thirst for improvement and identify things before they become issues. That's something that our staff is hard at work at. And, it's been a fun early portion of the week, with an extra day of preparation of getting our eyes on Wisconsin and identifying what we're going to have to do to play winning football.
Coach, you talked about the Wisconsin passing offense, which especially these last two games has been excellent, but your side has done well to pressure the quarterback, especially on Friday night against Maryland. What do you need to do to get that trend continuing?
Yeah, it's going to sound redundant, but, we have to force ways to make sure that the quarterback is processing post-snap and he doesn't know where he's going with the football before it gets in his hands. And then we got to find ways to disrupt him. And the easy stat to look at is sacks, which are drive killers for an offense. We want that trend to continue. But it's also just pressures and making a quarterback uncomfortable. And, it'll be absolutely critical. We did a good job Friday night of affecting, Maryland's quarterback early. And we're going to have to find ways to do that, on Saturday as well, just to not allow that offensive passing attack from Wisconsin to get into a rhythm.
Coach, it seems like Josh Fussell has seen an elevated role at corner since season opener. How have you seen him progress since really he arrived on campus to the point where he's able to see key snaps in the Big Ten?
Yeah, I think Josh is someone, that we've been excited about ever since we had a chance to work with him in his first practice, last year. And he just continues to trend in the right direction. Very humble, very hardworking, hungry for coaching, wants to be pushed, wants to be coached hard. And I think you're starting to see a level of confidence really start to show up, through Josh's play, and that just comes with reps, but specifically reps in the arena. And as he's had an opportunity to gain even more and more reps in those game scenarios, I think Josh coming off the Indiana game, knew it wasn't his best performance, and what a credit to his character and work ethic and humility of bouncing back, and thought Josh played really well against Maryland. And Josh Fussell is going to be one heck of a corner in the Big Ten for a long, long time.
Coach, what have you went back and looked at the game tape from last year in Camp Randall? What have you learned from that, just scheme-wise, about Wisconsin and how you guys attacked them that you'll look to take into this week?
Yeah, I think looking at the game flow against Wisconsin last year, there's a lot of things that show up. Against a team like this, they are certainly dangerous, whether they're up or behind. With their ability to tempo and throw the ball at the level that they've proven to be able to do. I got to be honest with you, regardless of what the score was last year, I mean, I was uptight until it was zeros on that clock, just the way that they operate. You're going to have to put 4 quarters together. But there is a level of advantage if you can find ways, to create a lead, in the first half, just from a standpoint of, what you're seeing out of Wisconsin these last 2 weeks is they get up in a football game, they remain incredibly balanced, and with that balance, it becomes really difficult to defend. So we're going to have to do a great job of limiting explosive plays, but also finding ways to keep these guys, behind schedule and behind the chains, to create some third and long situations where we're going to be able to get off the field and play complementary football, get the ball back to our offense.
How much does that have to do with the air raid system that Coach Longo runs, where if you get behind, that ball's going to be in the air most of the game, and that allows your pass rush and your secondary to kind of play to his strengths? Yeah,
no, I mean, he again, with the way that they're structured offensively, they have the ability to put up points in a hurry. There's no doubt about it, and they're never out of a game with their ability to tempo and explosive plays in the passing game. They do a good job with some of their motions and finding ways to check the sideline in critical situations and get in advantageous calls. But we're going to have to do a great job of tackling in space. We're going to have to do a great job of affecting the quarterback, and we're going to have to do an exceptional job of limiting explosive plays. They open up, I believe, is the first series of the game last year where they open up with an explosive play early on. It only led to a field goal. You add that one to the list. They're going to move the ball. I mean, there's no doubt about that. But we're going to have to make sure that we find ways to get off the field on third down. Create some takeaways, and if they do make it in the red zone, force them to kick field goals.
Do you have an injury update on Josh Thompson and also overall on the offensive line? You mentioned in the past that you were really encouraged by what you had seen from the running game early in the season. It's been more of a struggle over the last few games. How do you feel you're going to be able to restore that push and eliminate some of the penalties up front?
Yeah, we're going to have to reestablish that run game. Have to, eliminate self-inflicted wounds. You go back and look at, Coach Lujan shared this with our offense this morning. If you go back and look at our percentage of scoring points in drives where we do not have procedural penalties, it's what you're looking for. Those chances for scoring points in a drive when we do have procedural penalties gets cut in half. That's something that we have to eradicate from what's going on. There was too many on Friday night. And in terms of the run game, there's some good things showing up, but there's certainly room for continued improvement there. We do anticipate Josh playing this week, but we need to continue to find a level of continuity with that group up front. What I am confident in is that group is really straining and really pushing. They're practicing really hard. They're buying into the coaching. There continues to be signs of improvement, not only collectively but individually. Excited that a guy like Nick Herzog, is back and practicing. There's some young guys coming on, but definitely need guys like Josh Thompson, Ben Rather, and Caleb Tiernan to continue to really set a tone as veteran leaders in that room of what it needs to look like to win in the Big Ten.
Nick Herzog there, will he be contributing or starting at left guard?
You know, no, but we anticipate Nick to contribute. You know, Nick coming off of being a little dinged up and his availability being in question. You know, it appears that Nick is back to health and feeling himself, and excited for him to get back into mode where he's really competing for more playing time than he's had these last few weeks.
So I'm just a little confused. So you're saying he might rotate in, or you're saying just there's more competition at the position going forward?
There's just more competition, you know, at the position going forward. You know, specifically with those internal linemen, with Jack going down and moving some pieces around, Nick being his availability being limited. Excited for there to continue to be some competition and depth created in those specifically center and left guard.
Coach, Joseph Hyman has been a real bright spot in the return game. How does, you know, when he gets those big returns, how does that set the tone for the offense, and how have you seen him emerge in that role this season?
It's been critical. You know, I mean, I think there's a level of momentum that gets created. We all know how important the field position battle can be. But there's just a level of energy that comes off the sideline when the offense is, you know, opening up a drive at the 40-yard line or 50-yard line or whatever it may be. And again, there's a level of confidence right now when Joe has the ball in his hands and people are blocking for him. They know and understand that, you know, good things. They're anticipating good things happening when Joe gets the ball in his hands. But really excited about his growth in that area. We knew we had some special things with Joe on the offense side of the ball, but to see that you know, carry over into the special teams game has been really fun to watch.
Coach, you mentioned Josh's trend to play. Both he and Caleb Tiernan are ranked within top 10 by PFF within their respective positions. What can you say about their work in the trenches and what that's meant to the team?
No, it's been huge. I mean, we knew going into spring ball and transitioning over to fall and into the season that those two guys were guys that we were going to have to absolutely lean on. And you know, we don't put much stock in PFF grades. It's an incredible tool for us in breakdown and having access to film. But what I will say is those two have really bought into Coach O'Boyle. You know, really excited about the way that Josh has moved these last couple weeks. If you were out at practice these last couple weeks, I mean, Josh is really starting to take an ownership role and setting the tone in run game. Caleb's done a nice job, you know, as a left tackle of consistently protecting our quarterback. That needs to continue to, you know, continue to trend in that direction. But you know, Caleb Tiernan's walking around this facility with a lot of confidence right now. The transformation and maturity and growth that I've seen out of Caleb here in the last year has been really, really exciting. That young man has a bright future ahead of him, as does Josh. And I think the challenge to both of those guys moving forward is, you know, now that you've really built some credibility and some confidence, continuing to permeate that confidence throughout that entire room.
Coach, Jack Lausch has had 2 consecutive weeks with no turnovers. Can you talk about his development in the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, just a lot of confidence, decisive decision making. You know, I think he's you can see when a quarterback is playing confident, he's not waiting for wide receivers to become open. He's throwing the ball to a spot and knowing where his wide receivers are going to be. Really proud of the way that he's developed. And then when things aren't there, you know, he's making decisive decisions to pull the ball down and take off with his feet. We don't want Jack carrying the ball. You know, he's not a glorified running back. He's a quarterback. He's playing like a quarterback right now, which is really exciting. But we all know those 3rd and 6 situations that all of a sudden a quarterback, things break down, he's able to pick up a first down, how frustrating that can be for a defense. Proud of his decision making. Proud of his practice habits and how that's led into production on game day.
Coach, over the last 2 weeks, it feels like there's been a particular point of emphasis to get Bryce and AJ the ball. How important is it to continue doing that this weekend? Yeah, it's critical. I mean, you know, Bryce and AJ are proven playmakers in the arena. There's more playmakers within this offense than just those 2 guys. You know, I've seen great things out of C.J. Johnson and Frank Covey in practice. You know, Thomas Gordon, Marshall Lang, Duke Olgus as tight ends, utilizing the backs in passing game. But there's no doubt that, you know, finding ways to get AJ and Bryce, you know, the ball in their hands in critical situations and down the field is something that we need to continue to do.
You know, it's shown up and needs to continue to show up. And if teams are going to find ways to try and take those guys away, then you know, other guys will step up too. But again, I think Jack has done a really good job of not forcing those things, but also having a very clear understanding where those guys are lined up and finding ways to get them the ball.
Yeah, Coach, continuing the offensive questions, we've talked about how Wisconsin's quarterback might attack your defense, now turning to how your quarterback might attack theirs. They're a top 20 pass defense by yardage they're giving up. So what are you looking for out of Jack and the rest of the offense to make sure that they can get the ball moving early?
Yeah, it all starts up front. It all starts at the line of scrimmage. You know, creating a new line of scrimmage and run game, doing a good job of protecting our quarterback and passing game. Sound decision making, you know, out of Jack, not forcing anything, taking what the defense has given us that can be utilized in RPO, quick game, drop back pass. But it'll be critical that we establish a line of scrimmage early, which opens up opportunities for play action. And you know, ton of credit to Wisconsin. I mean, they're playing at a really high level right now in all three phases.
Do you have an injury update on Devin Turner?
You know, right now he's day to day. We'll know more later in the week. Probably, you know, questionable right now.
Coach, Wisconsin has given up just 13 points in their past 2 games. I mean, what has stood out to you on tape about that defense?
Yeah, well coached, very fundamentally sound. You know, I think they play at a high level up front, veteran safety in the back end that does a great job of directing traffic, and high level corner play. And I mean, when you marry those things together, you got a good recipe for good defense. You know, I'm really excited about the challenge that's in front of us in all 3 phases. But you know, we're gonna have to have another great week of practice. The success that we saw on Friday, I think, is a direct reflection of the way that our guys attacked last week's practice. And we're going to need that again, you know, starting tonight and transition into tomorrow, full padded practice. You know, it takes what it takes in the Big Ten, and it's gonna require a great week of preparation.
And then, Coach, last week we talked about the turnover battle with Maryland. Obviously, huge win for you guys in that department. What do you think the team needs to do to continue that trend, both offensively and defensively?
You know, it sounds so cliche, but you know, it's really just trust in the process. You know, sometimes takeaways come in bunches, and you just, you know, those takeaways came from guys just doing things that they're coached to do. We need to continue to play with great fundamentals, trust the things that we're being coached to do, and when opportunities present themselves, executing those opportunities. And then offensively, like I said, you know, playing within the framework of the offense, trust in our progression, making sound decision making, value in the football by protecting it. You know, the one fumble we had was on special teams against Maryland. We were fortunate to recover it, but it's just doing the little things right that we're coached to do, and it was really exciting to see those things show up on Friday night.
Coach, with Jack out again this week, would you consider doing anything to ease the burden on Luke, especially if he kicks off as much as he did Friday? Maybe have Helms or somebody kick off instead? Yeah,
Luke has been such a weapon with kickoffs and his ability to kick touchbacks. It's definitely discussions we're having though with the load that he's carrying. Got to be really thought out and strategic in terms of even the ways that we practice and making sure we're not putting too much on Luke. You know, one thing that we've utilized, Hunter Renner is, you know, quite a weapon with pin punt situations. I think that's a role that Hunter will continue to embrace. But to answer your question directly, we plan on still utilizing Luke to kick off. I mean, he's such a weapon. Not only the distance he puts on the ball, but the hang time that he can create for us.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, everyone.